Okay, so question now about truth and propaganda. Oh, nothing like easy questions. It's good. Okay, so first of all, there's truth from the perspective of somehow that there is a factual basis for, evidential basis for something that is occurring, that we want to get to the bottom of. We dig deep enough, there will be something there lay hidden, which will be a crystallized version of what we can say is truth. But then there is also truth, which is perspective of the individual who, from their experiences and from their own understanding, will also be truth. So we need to understand that just because somebody doesn't see a truth as you see it does not mean that it's not their truth, because each individualized experience matters. Now, this isn't to underestimate the value of truth. This is to show you that there are different understandings of what is truth. What is truth? Now, you look at what is occurring right at this minute, and you will have many perceptions of truth. For some engaged in the protests, we'll call them protests, some of those involved, the truth will actually be that in their own personal experience and in their own personal understanding, they have been victimized, they have been prejudiced, and therefore they are legitimately, in their eyes, seeking truth. Then you have the truth of police officer who are saying at this time that they are just doing their job. And for some in their experience and their perspective and their knowledge of their understandings will be truth. Then you have a wider collective that will say, this is the truth. You see, and you can't underestimate, because this is about perception and perspective. And the individual is creating reality. So therefore, when you understand that perception is perspective, then you cannot say to somebody that they're lying. The truth is based on their knowledge. This is different from somebody who perceives and holds within them a truth and then deliberately seeks to obfuscate that truth, which is lies. The reason we make this distinction is because it's very easy right now to assume that there is one collective truth and everything else is lies. But perception and perspective dictate reality for individual experience on earth. So you cannot collectively label absolutely everything truthful and everything else lie. You have to come with understanding. You have to come with a complicated, complex comprehension that each and everybody's perspective is individualized. Let that sink in. Now, what the questioner is asking is, right now, with all that has occurred with the coronavirus and now with the, we will say, the protests, what is truth and what is propaganda? Well, we come back to the role of the media. If the media is selling fear, then it's safe to assume that everything you are seeing in the media is to some extent propaganda, correct? Because it has an objective. It has an underlying intention to spread fear, and therefore you cannot say that it is truth. It has to be propaganda. That does not mean that within the basis of everything that is projected on the media is completely without fact or a factual basis. So therefore there has to be really an individual willingness to explore the bigger picture. Let's say that. If you go into there's only one take, there's only one view, there's only one answer, you are discounting the fact that 7 billion people on the planet have their own answers. You need to hear and listen, probably not to 7 billion, but at least to some differing views, differing opinions than your own, in order to be able to objectively arrive at a truth that you can sit comfortably with. Now, this is not to say that there are not bases and foundations that are accurate and bases that are and foundations that are lies. Of course there are. But you cannot simplify truth and lies when not everyone is deliberately obfuscating the truth. Therefore, is it fair to say that if people are projecting a truth that from their perspective is fact, that is somehow propaganda or not true? No, you can't say that. Propaganda is an intention to mislead, an intention to generate fear, an intention to obfuscate truth. And that must be, again, where we come back to this setting of intention. If you yourself are trying to discover truth in the world, we would say perspective always rounds out your own. So don't be isolated in your viewpoint. Don't be isolated in your understanding and comprehension of an event. If you watch the media, you understand you're only going to get propaganda. That's fact. Is there going to be basis of truth within that propaganda? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Then it's outright lie. But you can't say everything on the media is not truthful. What you can say is everything is propaganda. If you have a basis as a intention to generate fear, you are in the game of propaganda. If you are deliberately setting out to mislead, obviously you are lying. That is also occurring. Some people will say that there is sometimes a basis for lying. You are trying to prevent a greater harm, for example. And we are not here to judge whether that's right or wrong. We are simply asking the question. Answering the question that has been asked, we should say. Now, in terms of what's occurring, enable for you personally to judge what you're hearing is truth or not. One, be very good at understanding yourself, understanding your own reactions and your own vibrations, because within you is the ability to discern truth in terms of bottom line fact. There is an ability within you to discern truth. You have a truth meter called your soul, because it is the knowingness of everything. So if you already know everything, then it's only a matter of time until you allow it to speak that you can hear it and therefore know what is what is. Why do we not hear it all the time? Because we have a mind, because you have experience, because you have prejudices, because you have beliefs, because you have all of these things which cloud the ideas that come from the soul, which says this is or isn't truth. So get very clear on what your soul voice is trying to tell you. This will help. If you feel any disquiet, if you have even the slightest doubt inside of you that this may or may not be truth, go and look for a different perspective deliberately, because the second you find a different perspective, you will understand that nothing is as simple as this is truth, this is fake. Okay, so once you find more perspectives and you watch, again, pay attention to your soul, pay attention to the voice within that is allowing you to follow the stream of truth. What is truth for me? What feels like truth for me? Where can I go with this truth? Do I feel better? Do I feel worse for this? Do I feel that I am being drawn into something more honest or more dishonest? These are your guides that are in your vibrational field that are allowing you to interpret your existence all the time. Do we believe that there is deliberate intention to mislead at this time, which is what we believe the questioner is really asking? Yes, of course. Of course. You do not need to be a conspiracy theorist. You do not need to be doubting Thomas. You do not need to have any darkness within your soul to actually stop and say that this is not the facts. When the facts keep changing, mind you, then you can understand that what was originally fact is no longer fact. So if the media are telling you this is fact and then 3 months later they've changed those facts, can you go back and say that those original facts are no longer true? This is question. Were they true at the time? What was the intention? If you examine and explore intention, you will get closer to understanding, can I trust this source or not? Because if you align with the intention, that the intention is to heal, or the intention is to help, or the intention is to spread love, or the intention is to build a humanity experience for the greater good, more than likelihood you will find that there is truth within that. Ask yourself the intention. Is the intention to divide? Is the intention to create hate? Is the intention to create fear? Is the intention to obfuscate truth? If you find yourself thinking that, then the chances are that within what you are watching will be a baseline of non-truth. Use your facilities that you were given, your soul, your mind, your heart, your frequency. All of these are determinants of what you can regard as truth. Right now, we have said there is a bias towards fear propagation, and therefore you must be, if nothing else, slightly skeptical of what you are hearing. Does that mean that every single word coming out of the media's mouth is a lie? No. Does that mean that the intention of every word coming out of the media's mouth is to propagate fear? Yes. So choose how you feel. Choose how you wish to respond to that. If you're presented with an image and it doesn't feel right, go and look for something else. What else is there? Set the intention with your heart and your mind and your soul, your vibrational frequency in alignment to say, let's see what other perspectives there are of this information. If I'm open of mind and open of heart to exploring other perspectives of what this could be, somewhere amongst that I'm going to find a truth that works for me. This is how you can begin to separate truth from propaganda. You're moving into a time, as we've said, where there are going to be more and more and more disturbances. And it will be incumbent upon each individual to utilize all the faculties they have to discern truth for them. Because each person uncovering their truth will allow for hope, light, and love to rise. Because if you see beyond fear, you are reaching for hope. You are reaching for the light. In that space, you are rejecting lies and seeking truth. The truth may not always be palatable. The truth may not always sit squarely on your shoulders, but it will always feel right. And you can only sometimes, with the depth and complexity of all that is occurring on your planet right now, you can actually only sometimes start to appreciate truth by exploring the full perspectives of all that is involved. So don't shy away from embracing perspectives other than your own. If you have always held a perspective on something and something is challenging that, explore it. Explore it, because somewhere within that there is the chance to evolve and to grow and to perpetuate light. Light is what we want to find. So, is there truth being obfuscated in all that is occurring right now? Yes. My goodness me, yes. Does that mean you should denounce everything that is being presented to you? No. But it means you keep your eyes open, your heart open, your mind open, and you explore. In the exploration and the willingness to accept perspectives other than your own, can you start to develop this discernment that you're asking for, discernment between truth and propaganda. You're not going to find an antidote to propaganda by keep milking the propaganda machine. So media, mainstream media, and mainstream voices, if you like, are not lying, all of them, but they have a propaganda machine behind them. And overwhelmingly, the media at this time is trying to provoke fear. So if you're only engaging on that level, how can you hope to avoid propaganda? You can't. There is so much complexity, confusion, deliberate confusion, deliberate obfuscation, deliberate desire to hide the truth going on, that you have to become super conductors of truth within you. Where do I resonate with this? Can I explore this issue further in order to round out my perspective better so that I can assimilate a deeper comprehension of what truth may be for me? And this may seem very complicated, but you have to understand the nature of reality. We can't sit there and say that there is truth and there is lies when you can only say that based on intention. Sometimes there are truths that people reveal that for them are truths. But if you want to know the basis of that line is fact, no, it's not. But it doesn't change the fact that they are truthful to the person and therefore worth exploring, because the rounding out of your perspective will help you shape your own truth. Understand that you are living in a time of great change. And with great change comes great fear. With great fear, you will find great propaganda, because power to control is a very desirous thing. If you desire something greatly enough, you will utilize all the propaganda in the world to try to make sure you keep it. Each person has the ability within them to discern their truth from their lies. Each person within them can explore something safely without it becoming that they are somehow embracing dark. Exploration does not mean you're embracing dark. If you come to the truth that does not feel good, you reject. Listen to the soul, set the intention to explore a perspective. Delve into that perspective fully and openly to seek truth for yourself. So much right now is about closing off perspective. When you see that, when you see some organizations, some medias, some opportunities for people to close off perspective, which is what censorship is, to close off perspective, you must see that for what it is, a desire to control the narrative that is being told. Right there is a flag to say this is worth exploring. Not because everything you find will be, quote, the truth, but because there is perspective here that is being deliberately closed down. If it's being deliberately closed down, you should ask yourself, why? Why is this being closed down? Do I trust the reasons that they're telling me why this is closed down? Do I not trust the reasons why this is being closed down? If I find I do, then there's no problem. I can just leave. But if I find I don't, then it's incumbent upon me to embrace other perspectives, to allow other voices to be heard. Because only in the hearing of the other voices, collectively, can we come together to create a new world, a new era, where all is embraced, where all is included, and where all vibrate at the highest possible frequency for the betterment of the entire planet. Much love.